Business Report, the only show devoted to the local business community, is brought to you as a community service by the Gehring Group, a premium insurance brokerage, and by the Ticktin Law Group, the lawyers you want between you and your problems, and by Pinnacle Advertising and Marketing. Now here's all the local business news from the lemonade stand to the boardroom.
Well, the feds have introduced risky low interest and low down payment home mortgage loans once again. And could it fuel mortgage meltdown similar to 6 years ago? So coming up next, I talk with our show's legal editor, Josh Bleil. And in an interview taped earlier, I asked Josh if the meltdown could happen once again.
Well, I sure hope not. It's a different market than in 2008. And also in 2008, we had these no-income, no verification loans, or these 80-20 loans where literally the homeowner was borrowing the 20% to put down. And though there have been some reductions in the amount that a homeowner would need to put down, for instance, some of the federally insured loans that require 3% down, it's real money as opposed to money that was being borrowed.
I got you. You know, well, the feds, the FHA and Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae coming up with 3% down, you know, that leaves, you know, you don't have too much of a skin in the game. So are we looking at maybe somebody walking away from a mortgage, or what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's less likely, and some of those things have happened structurally. For instance, the banks have had new lending regulations put on them. And unlike what was happening in 2008, where a lot of these mortgages were being securitized, and the investors on these loans were essentially taking the rating agencies, whether it's Moody's or Fitch, taking their word that these were AAA.
Which were phony.
Which were phony. Yeah. Now the banks are savvy to that, and so are the investors. So the investors are doing a little bit more investigation into the quality of the underlying mortgages. And even not some of the money that's being used to purchase the homes here in South Florida, a lot of that's also coming from out of the country. There's a lot of Venezuelan money, a lot of Brazilian money. So you have a lot of these foreign nationals or foreign money coming in, and it's real money. It's not borrowed money. So it's kind of a different setup this time.
Well, yeah. You're extremely experienced in foreclosure defense. Is there, you know, we had a tremendous amount of action in foreclosure defense after the meltdown. Is it still happening today?
Well, it's still happening, but to a large extent, it was always we always saw it as the snake that ate an elephant, and soon enough that elephant would pass. So really what's happening is those faulty mortgages where there were liar loans involved or predatory loans or just false information provided, a lot of those mortgages have moved through the courts. So there's still a foreclosure caseload, but it's not nearly as significant.
Well, some of these foreclosures that take almost 2 years to get settled. Why is that happening?
Well, some of it's directly due to the banks and the investors, is that the banks and the investors are really not motivated to prosecute these cases. Most of the foreclosure cases still in the state of Florida are undefended, which means they don't have an attorney there. So the banks are generally focusing on those homeowners that don't have lawyers. But these cases still in this day and age, today, present day, are great commercial litigation cases. So if you've got a lawyer that knows how to ferret out these issues and actually present these issues to the court, you're going to have a much more successful case. So they're still there. The timelines have shortened, due largely because there's less cases, and there's going to be less resources now allocated to those foreclosure cases. And the courts have kind of seen the immediate crisis is over, so it's going to probably be back to business as usual.
Well, are you seeing more short sales in your legal practice?
Some short sales, yeah. There's definitely an uptick, and some of that's due just to the natural increase in the market, where it's more advantageous now for a homeowner to sell their home through a short sale. Most of my clients that are that I deal with, most of them aren't interested in the short sale option. Most of them are interested in actually litigating their rights.
I got you. Well, do you feel, you know, you're very experienced in foreclosure defense. Are you seeing more action on your part against banks and lenders?
Well, not so much in the way of filing plaintiffs' lawsuits. A lot of those plaintiffs' lawsuits we've seen and learned through your show and other news outlets, they're just not good lawsuits to bring. I see it the best way to defend these lawsuits is on the merits and defend them, particularly raising the issue of the unclean hands, the aspect of the predatory and fraudulent loans, and holding the original lender accountable for the actions of the downstream servicer or holder.
I got you. Well, one of the, Aquin Aquin Financial, they're in all kinds of hot water, and they're treating their customers rather shabbily. That's a polite word.
Yeah.
And do you get involved with Aquin in any way?
Yes, we've got a lot of Aquin cases, and even on previous interviews we've talked about, we kind of alluded to the fact that it's the same old, just with shiny polish to it, we should say. And Aquin's still facing those same problems. And what happened was, it was almost as if when the crisis hit in 2008, it was too big to fail for the banks. And now a lot of those servicing rights have been transferred out of the banks into private companies like Aquin.
Right.
And so really all it did was shift the problem from what was a regulated sector to a sector that's not nearly as regulated as the banks. So Aquin's still facing these same problems. It just seems to be carrying on and on.
It's just on and on, and you're right. It's on. Well, listen, Josh Bleil, legal editor of South Florida Business Report, along with Peter Ticktin. God bless you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
All right.